Okay, cool. So, thanks for joining this workshop about Juno. My idea is I'm just going to show you, I don't want to be too boring, so I'm just going to show you 1 or 2 slides so that everybody understands a bit how it works. And then we start coding, right? And if you want to follow along while we code, we're going to work locally. So you're going to need the CLI that we can install. That's not going to be too complicated. But you need Docker Desktop or Podman to work locally. So just if you don't have it, right? Anyway, so let me go back to the presentation I just gave like a few minutes ago. All right. Ooh. There is some problem with the Wi-Fi, or it's just me?
No, the internet is a bit bad
in this room. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so I cannot show you the slides. All right. Yeah. All right. That's a bit annoying. Yeah.
My Wi-Fi?
Yeah, sure. If someone has a Wi-Fi to share. So technically, I can make the workshop without it, just to show you a bit some resources and these kind of things. And so I should go to. Oula. What the fuck? All right. So which one? Yes. Thanks a lot. Server not full. That should be the one. Yeah. So just want to show you that. So basically, Juno is not a chain. Juno provides smart contract, platform, tooling, and so on and so on. But underneath, it's the internet computer. That's the power. That's all the infrastructure, right? And there is no Web2 infrastructure. Is everything runs on the IC. And that's like a slide that's going to be important for what we're going to do. The idea when you build on Juno is that me, David, on Juno has absolutely no control whatsoever on what you do. So as a developer, you get a smart contract, a mission control. That is the name I gave it. It's basically a wallet. And from there or from you can spin project, like satellites, which what we're going to do. It's basically, it's a container where you're going to put your front end and your backend inside, right? And that container is only controlled by your wallet and yourself. Me, I don't have any option to come there. And for example, before I give that example, like if we build the ETH Cluj app, we can put the whole ETH Cluj app within that container, right? And then your user accesses it here, all right? And that's what we're gonna do. All right. So, is anyone following along when I'm gonna code, or I just do it and then you watch? All right, okay. So, I will make this a bit bigger. It's better? Or it should be bigger? All right. It's not gonna be that much in the CLI anyway. So, all right. So what I've prepared, also if you go home and want to play a bit, there is like a repo GitHub Juno build workshop, right? And in the repo, the README is basically what we're gonna do today. So you can also do that later, and it's also a good way to get started if you want to understand how it works and so on. It looks like lots of steps, but actually it's not that much complicated. It's always the same once you know how it works. So I clone the repo, workshop, ETH Cluj. And basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna build a note-taking app, right? With some fun things inside. So I go there and I install the node dependency. So far, just standard JavaScript thingy, right? And I will open it in my editor. Because we are not yet vibe coding things, but it would be really cool in the future if I can do the demo by vibe coding it, I was thinking. So it's the kind of like one of the next things I want to do. I want to provide some rules that can help cursor and those kind of tools to better understand how Juno works. Anyway, so big enough? Yeah. All right. You tell if I should zoom anytime. All right. So if I follow a bit my playbook, I'm gonna use Docker, as I say. You can also use Podman if you want, because we're gonna work locally. And we make the demo, and afterwards I show you some example of what you can build, right? Is it okay like that? Okay. So on my machine, I got a CLI installed, which I installed with npm hat Juno build, yeah, Juno build /CLI, right? So that's the CLI I provide. And once it's installed, you can start something called Juno dev start. And when you do that, it launches a full emulator on your machine. So this way you can work fully locally. And only when you will be ready, you can go to mainnet, right? And here I see that everything is already spins because I'm reusing like an existing container. So what I'm gonna do, because I want to start from fresh, I just gonna go in my. So basically here I'm gonna say I want to use Docker, but I want my container name to be workshop ETH Cluj. And here I will just do that. All right, so let's start again. That's a fresh start. So now what it's gonna do, it's gonna spin all the smart contracts that we need to work locally. So it's gonna spin, for example, a ledger. It's gonna spin the internet identity, which we're gonna use for the authentication, or it's gonna spin like that mission control I told you about, right? And at the end, you see there is like console started. And this is ND because now when I go in my browser, I have like the full Juno experience. You see, if I go to product, that's production.
So is Juno like a scaffold? Is Juno like a one idea scaffold thing?
So Juno itself is this one here is a smart contract, and from there you can scaffold your own smart contract.
Okay, so it's like a smart contract scaffold.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. So just, you see, so that's production and that's local, so it's really same. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna scaffold our mission control, and then from there we're gonna scaffold our satellite. So I'm gonna sign in locally to create this one, and from this one I'm gonna create one container from our project that we're gonna build locally. So one smart contract, okay? So when I sign in, I have to create an identity. So identity is the most common authentication provider on the IC. It's fully decentralized. And this allows me to, of course here we are working locally, but I will use a passkey. And this allows me to sign in on apps on the internet computer without the need to have a private key on my side. So I basically defer the sign-in to that decentralized application so I can sign in everywhere, right? And here you see I'm signing in, so I have my mission control, and now we're gonna create our satellite, so our smart contract to work. So it works, it spins. It's a bit faster locally, but it's relatively fast on mainnet too, right? All right. So at this point here, what we see here is that, no, where was I? Here. So here what I see is the overview, the administration overview of that one, okay? And when I spin it, it doesn't come empty. I can already open it, and then I have like a blank HTML page. So that means that this smart contract is already available on the web. When I open it, then I have links to go to the documentation and whatsoever. But it's not what we're gonna use. All right. I'm gonna copy that ID because now I want to start having my code that connects to that container so that can interact from my code to it, right? And in my configuration, just put the ID, all right? And now what I can do is I can start my app. All right. So if I go that, so that's typical developer experience, I guess. So that's my note-taking app, right? But what I did is like I commented all the pieces that are important in the app. This way we go through the pieces so that we understand how we build the bricks, basically. So because you see here when I click sign in, it doesn't work. So to have the sign in, what we need to do is initialize Juno. So to do that, I just do this. So it's a React app, by the way. This one, I guess? Yes. So what it does, it's at the top of your app, you say initialize my application to work with the satellites. And because all the tooling is included and you have plugin and so on, all the configuration is automatically injected so that the ID that we used before is there and it's fine. You don't have to configure it. And then the second thing that you have to do is you have to uncomment a callback. So you don't have like to implement like a complex flow or whatever. Basically at the top of your app, you have one function that's gonna give you the user is authenticated, the user is logged out, the user is there, and so on. And then you can just react on it. And then you add a sign in, so the same is like you get a function from the Juno SDK that is called sign in. You put sign in and boom, you have your authentication. So if I sign in here, you see now it works. And I use the same that we had before. And maybe there is one more step. Maybe not. Let me refresh. Yes, it works, right? And if I go back to my authentication or console, you see here on authentication, now I see that there is one person that was authentication in that local app. And it's anonymous, so I just have identifier, nothing else. So it's like basically a public ID. I just see the public ID of the person that signed in. So yeah, if I logged in and do another one, you know, like here, if I create another identity, do I have a refresh button? Not yet. So if I refresh, now I have 2 entries, right? So, and so on and so on.
What's that, the hash or something, the identifier?
So on the internet computer, you have that notion of, it's called principal, which is basically a public key of the derived by your login. And then that public key can be used for, you can also use it as a wallet address too. And the thing which is a bit particular is that everywhere you logged in, it's a different ID because it's based on the domain name. And that's done because that way you cannot track person. So even if you use the same, you see I use that number when to sign in, and I will use a passkey, then that way you cannot be tracked because every time it's another principal. And worth to note that right now I use that number. It should be a passkey in production. For example, if here I just gonna show you if I, or maybe not here, maybe there. Not good example. Maybe here. Yes. If I sign in here, you see then I have numbers again. And then when sign in, I have to use my passkey for the authentication. That's a security model. But soon it will also be possible to use a Google account to sign in. So yeah, but still like passkey. Where was I? And in that authentication, things is also interesting because I don't have yet metrics, but for example, I could ban authentication ID and of course then the user can do just a new identity and comes, but there is all those features you would find like in a standard Web 2 application, basically. Right?
Can't the users use the same identifier?
No, because the identifier is given by internet entity when you sign in. So it's constant. Like if you sign in with a number and passkey, you always get the same public ID for the same website. All right. So we got our login, but now we want to be able to add nodes to our note-taking app, right? So I designed it that way. Basically, you have, it's not really a database, it's more like a small key store, let's call it like that, where you can save key and a blob of data. And that's organized by collection. So we're going to create a collection called nodes. So you have different level of permission. You can say, okay, only the user can access it, or it's public, or me and the user, those kind of things. But just going to stick to the standard. You also have option. All right. And as soon as that collection, it means that I can begin to say blob in it, right? So if I go in the code, again, that's a function that is provided by the JavaScript library. You see that set docs come from Juno build, right? It's a JavaScript library. And here I just say my target, which is nodes, the name of the collection. And then in the document, I give a key, which should just be a unique string, basically. And then I get the data, and here in my data, I can add anything. And just like one document should be less than 2 mega. But in a web case, you maybe don't want 2 mega because it's going to be a bit slow. But yeah, it's up to 2 mega for that particular constraint. And here, the input text is this one, right? So now, if I write hello world, and I submit, we don't see it yet in the application because we don't have implemented reading the data, right? But if I go in my administration console, in the nodes, you see I see the entry, and here I'm going to see hello world, right? So we have that tools that allow us from here. I can, for example, download the data as JSON, update it, manually change it. I can delete the entry and so on. I got like really like an administration tool, right? And we want to read the data. So I mean, I guess you understand how it works, right? But so here. And if I refresh here, you see we have our entries, right? So now every time I then it works, okay? And as I told you, it's limited to 2 mega, those. But if you want to go further, or if you have like some data that are more like images or files that should be available on the web, like with an URL or something like that, you can use the file storage. But it's a file storage, but technically speaking, it's also just saving chunks of blob, right? And there is one smart contract can go up to 500 gig. So it means that technically you can push your whole smart contract to 500 gig. Ultimately, I mean, the more data you have, the more expensive it is, of course, you know. So, and I'm not sure it's the best suited, like to, you probably don't want to use that solution to build Netflix. It's probably not what you want, you know. But for an application where, I don't know, like your user can upload their profile, image profile, that does well the job. So same idea, you get collection with blah, blah, blah. And if we uncomment this, so, and I think I have another line, yes, but that's really just. So basically what we're gonna do is we upload the file. Once it's uploaded, I get an URL back, and then in the document that we had before, I add the URL, that way in my UI I can make the link. It's just convenience reason, right? So let's go here and we say close, and here I think I have an image on my desktop, yes. Right, and you see here it's saved, and I can open this. So because we are working locally, I got localhost, blah, 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 but if I would be like on production, I would have blah, blah, blah. That's my satellite ID .icp0 because it would be on ICP.io and then the same URL. And what things know that of course that data is public. So what you can do is if you want to have like some sort of privacy for data that are on the web, you can do this a bit like the same pattern that you find in Firebase and those kind of tools. Is you can add here a token. I don't know, like I'm just gonna put like a UID or whatever, which means that now if I go here and I add another image, if I open this one, you see I need the token, but if I remove that from the URL, I cannot access it. So this way you can kind of make your images and so on private. Because fundamentally speaking, the token, if you use a long enough token, then it would take too much time to brute force it. Of course, unless you share the link publicly, then it's not anymore. All right. So actually, we have already built an app, you know, like, I don't know, like we took 10 minutes maybe. And of course, it was already prepared, but we have set up an authentication with 2 functions. We have added save document on chain with 1, and we have saved file with another. So it's kind of nice, right? And maybe we want to go a step further. Like right now, we have built all the front end, but when it comes to real life application, at some point you're gonna say, all right, there is lots of features, but maybe I want to add some more features. Like particularly in the backend, maybe you want to go a step further. So I was thinking that we can maybe try to do that. So what we're gonna do is, there is that notion of serverless function on Juno, which is a bit like any, it's not edge function, because of course edge are distributed and as close as possible. but it's a way for you to extend the native capabilities. So what I'm gonna do is here I will do eject. I can choose to add function in Rust or TypeScript or JavaScript, and I'm more fluent in JavaScript, so since it's a workshop, I don't go to Rust and start having bugs and this kind of thing, so I'm just gonna take JavaScript, right? And if I have a look here now, I have a new project, new satellites, and I see here I have a set of functions that comes by default. I can delete everything, but the idea is that function. So that's the idea. Basically, you see what we have done is we have done that. We have done set doc, right? And when it's doc, it saves the data on the chain. So the idea right now is that we still do that set doc, but once the document is saved, it kind of, the smart contract is gonna call itself, kind of. And on that call, I'm gonna receive the payload and who was the caller and those kind of things. And then I can kind of do a post-processing or something like that and do the stuff I want on the backend. And yeah, so what would I add? Yeah, so to assert it works out. Actually, well, that's a good point. You have the things that works after the document is saved, and you can also inject code before it's saved. This way you can implement your own assertion. You know, like, for example, if you just want that particular principal and that particular authentication to have access, you can add a rule where you say, if not that one, then stop everything. So here I will just add, when something is saved in nodes, I'm just gonna print hello, right? So let's build that. And so all those things are WASM containers. So what it does, it builds an index.html JavaScript file, and then it repack a WASM, and then it upgrades the whole WASM. So all the time you upgrade the whole container, basically. And yeah. All right. So it has been updated. So if now I want to assert, so when I do that, here I should find a console log, you see? So yeah. And if we want to go a bit more fancy, we're gonna do the following. We're gonna try out the post-processing. So in that onset doc here, oopla. Ah no, yeah, all right, sorry. So what we want to do now is, actually, like I told you, we can use that assertion to block something. So if the text that comes as the word hello, it cannot be written in the store. So I will build that. There is live reloader, so if I want, I can start build, blah, 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 watch, but just for the demo, I like to do it like way. All right, so there is hello, right? And here it fails. Because that there is my custom code that works before Juno, right? And if I remove hello, then it still works. And I told you about post-processing, so I'm gonna copy this one. So what we want to do is, when a document is written in the collection node, we decode it, and then I modify the text to add checked. And then basically I save it back to the store. So that's of course like the most simple use cases, right? All right. So if I post process, and oh, it's already done. So it's asynchronous. So I was kind of lucky that while it saved, the reload already had the new data. So, you know, maybe someday I will add like a function where you can just poll until you get the function, because there is no web. You can have WebSocket, but if you want WebSocket, you have to have like a Web2 proxy in the middle. So generally, I prefer like to poll. That way, you don't compromise on using Web2 stuff. So yeah, that's basically already a bit like the things. And I can show you how to go to production, but then I'm gonna need to open my my password manager. But yeah, we can try. Okay, so let's do that. That's production, right? Should work, I guess, or not? Yes. All right. Okay, same as what we have. All right. So I will create a new. Ooh, that's a good example. So I can show you how we transfer ICP on the internet computer, right? So do I have ICP here? So that's OSI is a wallet on the IC. And you see, I always use that authentication to sign in. And it's a cross-chain wallet, so you can also have Ethereum and this kind of things there. Oh, Bitcoin. Right. Do I have ICP here? Is it enough? I don't think so. So I gonna.
Should I send you some?
Oh, I can send me some. It's fine. I guess. So I'm gonna use the same application on my phone if I got Wi-Fi. Yes. So you see, I sign in with the same stuff on my phone, right? And all right, come on. All right, so send. Now I select ICP. I use the. Let's go, and I will send one ICP. Okay. All right, so it should be here. I think this one runs every few seconds. So let me refresh. All right, so here I have one ICP. So now I'm gonna bring some ICP here to my mission control or wallet that I have in Juno. And here I can click receive, and I can use that OSI things. It's the wallet that we use. And basically, I can use it, and there are some standards that let me interact with it. And it asks if I can use the wallet address and so on. All right, and here I will bring one ICP. It shows me, yeah, I should confirm and so on. All right, so now I should also have it. Yes, we have not yet. Maybe I should refresh. All right, we have it, right? Okay, so I'm gonna spin a satellite for the demo. Same as before, right? you see, as I told you, it's a bit slower on production than locally, but I mean, it should take like 20, 30 seconds, something like that, I guess. And while we do that, here I just gonna cause this. And all right, so I just gonna disconnect and copy my password, if you don't mind. Even though I don't have that much things to not show, but yeah. All right, so I've copied it. All right, I got it. So I'm gonna put it back. We back? Yes, all right. So it's ready, same experience as before. Maybe? Yes. And you see, it's the same as before, like if I open the default URL, it works, right? And you see here, I already have like, it's not localhost anymore. It's, So now, I have my CLI, I have that project on the web, or on the chain.
You pay only once?
Yeah.
To launch it?
So,
How much was it? 0.5 or 1?
0.5, I think, yeah. So, when you start on Juno, it's free.
Yeah.
So if I take this schema again, this one and this one, I pay for you. So it's free,
Yeah.
currently. And then when you want to spin others, it's cost 0.5 ICP, which is, yeah, something like that. But it's almost the same price as starting one empty smart contract.
How long is it stays? Do you host it like forever?
So when you have your things that are hubs, you see it has the available cycles here. So as long as you have cycles, it's gonna live.
All right.
And there is like something called the grace period or the threshold. And basically you can tell what buffer of security you want to give. And right now the buffer of security is 30 days. So basically it says, okay, to cover those 30 days with your current consumption, you would need that much cycles. So basically your project works and accepts update and so on as long as it doesn't reach that. And when it reaches that, you can just read it, right? And then after 30 days, if you still not have done anything, then it dies.
Yeah.
But like, for example, I don't know, like,
How much is a cycle?
like if we have a look,
0.97.
so if I want to do a top up, which means adding more cycles, right? So if I do one ICP, it's 3 cycles. And one thing to know is like cycle, the price is constant. They are basically, I don't know if they are indexed to USDC or whatever. I don't exactly know to what.
Constant ICP token.
Yeah, and if the token goes high, then you get less cycles and so on. So they go both together.
Also, it's pegged to USD actually, the cycle.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
All right.
So,
Yeah. And how, with one ICP, how long can I give it up? For the 3.5 cycles.
so it really depends of what you do with your app. Is it just a front-end app? Let's say just your website.
Yeah.
Then I guess your website you're gonna have with $5 or $10 for a year, your website's gonna work.
All right.
And actually, like my own website, I moved it there recently because it was more expensive to use Google Firebase than to use the IC. Because right now, there is a difference between reading data from just one entity or reading from using update to have a consensus. And if you just read one with a certificate, then it's free. So that's why your website comes rapidly, but also why it's really interesting financially to have a website there.
So it's, for one, it's free to use?
Yeah, I mean, no, it's not free, but it's like then you're just gonna pay for the space.
Yeah.
And they say that, for example, it costs, I think they say it costs $5 a year for 1 giga of data.
Yeah. And for a personal website, shouldn't be more.
Yeah, exactly. But I think my website, which has, I mean, doesn't have a massive traffic, but so if I check my website here, you see I don't have like a crazy traffic, like 1,000 sessions a month. I think I'm maybe gonna pay $10 this year or something like that.
And the domain, can you buy the domain from here as well?
You cannot buy the domain, but you can connect it.
All right.
So, for example, for the satellites that we just created, I can go to hosting, and here I can add custom domains, say demo.eta.cluj.org, right? And then, yeah, then I get the DNS entries, so I go to my DNS, I put those entries, I wait that it's rolled out, and when it's done, I do ready, and then all the things is connected.
How redundantly basically is this done, right? So how many, I guess, you do one operation, right? That's like kind of like a blockchain operation. On how many nodes kind of is that being like verified?
I don't know exactly. It's, do you know? Sorry?
Only the update calls are going through the consensus. So
Yeah.
whenever you just read the website or any assets,
Yeah,
it doesn't go through consensus.
Yeah. Because
like how many nodes or how many nodes is it stored? And
usually 13.
13.
But that depends because you can have more. Depends on how you deploy where. If you only deploy to one subnet contains 13 nodes.
Okay. And then every update call, all the 13 nodes have to do the thing as well.
I think so, yeah.
It goes through the consensus.
So you got like the default Juno subnet is this one with 13, right? But then
Different subnets,
yeah.
the system ones that contain the main.
And there is also a subnet that is just scoped in Europe, if you want to keep your data in Europe. And I think there is a proposal to have one subnet just in the States too. And
the way you're expecting people to build apps is, like in Ethereum, you separate, right? You have the app, and then smart contract only for, let's say, like identity or financial stuff, right? But here you're expecting every step in the app kind of to every update call of the app to go into the consensus, right? So
yeah, I think so, yeah.
To go on chain basically.
Yeah.
And that's what on-chain means.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And yeah. Yeah, so let me just see if I let me get my password because I copied something in the meantime. Right. You can set up a CLI without a password, but it's not really professional, you know. All right, so I'm David. So I'm gonna just use my other profile locally, all right? And now what I'm gonna do is I want to log in my CLI against that satellite, right? So here, and I want to reuse it, all right? So I use the satellites. Ooh, what happened? All right. And at some points I will have to copy again, but it doesn't matter. So what I do is, this is the public ID of my CLI. So what I do is I take it, I go to my CLI, and here I'm gonna add that access key. And I can choose the level. I can have that level where I say I can only propose things, which is really useful if you set up a GitHub action, because then you can build your stuff in your GitHub action, like your front end, your back end, and then GitHub can just basically make a proposal of code changes. And you, in your CLI, on your console, you're gonna approve or not. But here, since I'm on CLI, I trust him, so I'm gonna put it administrator, that way I can do everything. And therefore, why the password is really important. All right, and that's the CLI thing. So yeah, have you completed? Yes, blah, blah. Can you provide a name? Demo ETA Cluj. All right, and here, I will just need one more time, I'm sorry. All right, so I'm gonna build my application. Wait, we need to set up the, so let's do that. So the production ID is, I don't want to copy, otherwise I have to copy again. ER5OM, R what? What? That's really convenient. So is it ER5OM L? All right, I gave up. All right, so now we have it, and I'm just gonna build it. And while it builds, I'm gonna take this one. And now we are good. So, sorry for that. All right, so here I've built my app like I would build like a normal JavaScript app, you know, like npm run build, right? And now I'm gonna do Juno deploy. And build it again because I've set a dApp in iConfig, but yeah, anyway. And now it starts pulling the data. So it's really like the same as before we have seen the file storage where we uploaded an image. So it's the same thing. So except that there is headers and it's gzipped and this kind of things, and everything gonna go up. All right. And that's it. So if I go here, oh, you see, no, there is a proposal, but if now I open my URL, then we have the app we developed. And of course, now I will need to create the same collection that we had before, you know, like the nodes collection. It's a bit slower, but still. And the image collection. But now that is done, here I can sign in. Same experience as before, right? And yeah, you see? We are on mainnet and it works out. And that's the cool things about it, I think. It's like, since you don't start with a blank page, you start with functions that are tested, that have been tested also on mainnet. You know that it works, so if you just use that, it cannot really fail. And yeah, maybe just to show you, so I'm gonna skip upgrading, blah, 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 but same principle. Analytics, we have seen that. There is a monitoring tools. So basically here, I can show you in my account. So there is in my that mission control here also takes care of watching the cycles of those. So what it does is basically it's gonna observe, and I set a threshold and I say, if this one goes under the cycles, you top it up. And because that one has also cycles and ICP, that one can send cycles to the other. So basically, this one is used to keep everything alive automatically. And when this one transfers cycles to this one, I get an email. And to get an email, it's just like it do a call to Web2, and then Web2 send me an email, basically. That's one of the the small compromise that I do, because it's still convenient to have a notification when something happens. So you see here, for example, I see that's my website. We see here that that's the rule, and we see that the last status check was 30 minutes ago, and there was nothing to do, and those kind of things. I don't know if there is one that was topped up. Yeah, but we don't see it because it was just a week ago. Yeah, so everything is.
Can you open your website?
Yeah, sure. So that's my personal website, right?
Alright.
So-
You modified the, let's say you modified the JavaScript.
Yeah.
The colors. You have to upload it every time you
Yeah,
change something.
yeah, exactly. And
Does it matter if I make small changes and upload every time, or I do it all from the start and upload only once?
so what's important, so that's best practice, is to have reproducible code. You know, like that when you change something, not all your apps got new hash, so that each file that weren't touched, if a file that wasn't changes won't be uploaded again.
Alright, so the work on components basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Alright.
And yeah, I can show you some examples. So I'm gonna close this. So this one is one of the new things that were built on Juno. It's like someone has built like it's called Gods Are Dead. I don't know if there is a sign out button. Yeah. So that's like a game where you can have some quest and progress and then fight and then craft some things, and they all use that, I think they use that data store to save the progression and so on. So you see here it's what I've crafted and so on, and then here I can go and have a fight. And if it works, I think so. It's a fun game, I like it. So you see then I'm gonna play, and of course, it will evolve in the future. They are still in beta, but it's kind of fun to see that. At least for me, I've built a platform where people can build stuff, and then you have someone somewhere that comes and says, "Hey, I've built a game." I find that really exciting.
Yeah.
And this one is so the backend is not used on Juno. They just have the front end, and this kind of thing is totally fine for me if you just want to have the front end there. And that's tools that helps people govern their DAO on the IC, because on the IC you can do an ICO and then have a DAO. And when you do that, you have multiple smart contracts and you need proposal and so on. And to avoid the need to have like some CLI stuff and to go to, as we discussed yesterday evening, like to have like a long list of tasks to go through to manage your neuro. Here they have like a nice application that, I don't know where is it. They have a nice application where you can manage all the stuff. And yeah, again, the backend is not from Juno, but the front end is on Juno. And otherwise, do I have some more examples? So the documentation of Juno is obviously on Juno, right? And what we have also, yeah, there was that project for some time that was like, they wanted to make something where you can, you say, I have that ID and I pledge so much ICP, and if anybody wants to build that, then you get the ICP and so on. There are some meme coins that don't have the meme coins on Juno, but they have their website.
Yeah.
Like this, you know, like super funny website. And like a friend of mine has his portfolio there. Here it's a board with a VC, and at the end you got few stuff that I built. But for example, there's this one, which is basically it's just like Excalidraw, which is a tool where you can draw. So I just put Excalidraw and a bit of colors around it, and then when you save, when you draw, then the draw is saved on the IC. So yeah, like there's kind of things, and then it's because at the end it's just a JSON, so I save the JSON in the file storage. So this one, and maybe this one is that's a tools where you can see the proposals that are made on the internet computer or in any of those DAO, and you can use that tools to submit a motion proposal. That way, again, you don't need a CLI. You can just go through an editor and do those stuff. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So that's basically it. Thanks for attending the workshop. And yeah, enjoy the rest of the conference and see you around.